Hello students, hello, welcome to the session. So in continuation with this particular series, DCD Rank Booster series, where daily chemistry dose is being given by my side to boost your rank in chemistry subject. So let us go to today's problem, where we shall be taking one beautiful question from the organic chemistry. It would assist you understand the subject better. So here is the question. In this question, what is being asked is a industrial solvent sulfolane is formed in the following way. The reaction is being given to you, and using this above information, you have to select the incorrect statement. First, you have to underline, or you have to be very vigilant. What is being asked, is it correct or incorrect? At times many of the students tend to do the silly mistake that the examiner is asking the correct statement and you are opting for the incorrect, or vice versa, something like that. So in this question, if you could see that there is a heterocyclic organic compound B and C is there, and now what is being asked? First, he is asking both B and C are non-aromatic compounds. This is what being asked. So in a way, in the first question or in the first statement, he happened to ask you, or the examiner is challenging with the statement that whether you know what are aromatic compounds and anti-aromatic compounds. Those who would not fall under these two categories may be said as non-aromatic compounds. Now, there is some common thing in both of these. First, these are the 4 points which you have to check whether a compound is aromatic or non-aromatic, so anti-aromatic. So this is what I am going to say in a little intuitive and speedy way. And once you done with this session, you happen to go through this if you are not clear with this particular topic from your notes. So aromatic compounds are the one where the compound, organic compound, is cyclic, it is planar or flat, or nearly so. It is, if it is a bit little distorted from the planarity, then also it would work, it would depend in the case. And the most important is the third point, that it must have delocalized pi electron density. Now this is the important statement on entire molecule. This is very important, that on the pi electron density should delocalize onto the entire part or the molecule. And last one, which is most important, is it should have 4n plus 2 pi electrons, where n could stand from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So what we are saying is that any compound which would have, if n I put it as 0, if any compound is having 2 pi or 6 pi or 10 pi and so on, pi electrons in it, and is obeying all the above 3 points, then only it is aromatic. And 4n plus 2 pi electron is very popular in students with a statement, we call it as to be Huckel's rule. Rule. Huckel rule. But it is not that you have to check the Huckel rule. All the 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, has to be checked while endorsing whether the compound is aromatic or not. As regard to anti-aromatic, first three statements are same as that of aromatic. Only the difference is in the fourth point. Fourth point shows that it should have 4 n pi electrons, where n starts from 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So any compound which is containing 4 pi, 6, 8 pi, or 10 pi, and so on, it has to be 3, 12 pi electrons in it. It can be anti-aromatic provided it is cyclic, it is planar, it is having delocalized pi electron density. So this is the way to check whether the compound is aromatic or anti-aromatic. Anyone which is not falling under these two category would be said as non-aromatic. So here you could see inside this ring you don't find any pi electrons, no pi electrons, so we shall not be using it. And here you could see there are 2 pi electrons, but it is not delocalized. This pi electron could delocalize only if there is in some other pi bond on lone pair or positive negative charge is in conjugation with it. So that is not what I'm saying. So B and C could not be said as aromatic nor as anti-aromatics. Yes, you can say it has to be a non-aromatic compound. So first statement in itself is correct. Second statement, what he is asking is that B is more acidic than C. Now let me draw first B. Now in the same problem, he's checking whether you know the concept of acidity and basicity. So this is the B option, this is the B option, and this is your C option. Or rather, I should draw it here. Just give me a second. So this is B option, and this is your C option. Only difference is in the pi bond. Now here, now while checking the acidity, what has to be checked? I will say this hydrogen in this entire molecule, this hydrogen is more acidic. Now what are the other hydrogens? Another one is this one. So this in itself also makes an important question, that why sir is suggesting this hydrogen 1 versus hydrogen 2 which is more acidic. So I will say hydrogen 1 is more acidic than 2, and same is in the case of this one also. If I treat H1 H2, so H1 is more acidic than H2. Now this is more acidic. So why is it so? Because simply because those hydrogens would be more acidic which are more closer to a electron withdrawing group. So this is a electron withdrawing group, isn't it? This is electron withdrawing group, this is electron withdrawing group, which is H2 is more closer to it, so this deprotonation would be easier. Same is the viewpoint here also, this would be easier. So when I say this H positive goes out, so what you are left with, so how to check the acidity of a given compound? The foolproof method is to check its pK values, that is experimental evidence, and which would have no ambiguity in it. But the point is that we never would got, or we shall never be getting the pK values in the exam, or we can simply could recall some of them, but not for every compound. It is not possible for a child to remember it. Broadly for different function groups we can learn, but not for every compound. So here we will be endorsing or trusting on this fact that if we are able to check the stability of conjugate base, so this is the conjugate base of B, this is compound B, and this is compound C, and this is the conjugate base of compound C. So if we are able to check which out of this is more stable, we are through the question. So let us check the stability. So this negative, how to check the stability? We would want the dispersal of negative charge to a maximum extent. This negative charge is in conjugation with pi bond. Negative goes here and this pi bond moves here, or it can move here. But the same thing would happen in this case also. So this in a way, this particular version of us is not explaining the conjugate stability, because this is not the deciding factor in this particular case, because both ways it is going same. Now I have to check whether this negative charge goes that side also. Yes, it do, it goes this way also. So what you would able to see is that there is negative charge dispersal on this oxygen, oxygen number 1, oxygen number 2, and on the carbon 3. So these are the three elements which would get this negative charge dispersal. So of course this would be more stable than the previous one, the one which is shown here. Here it is disposed on two oxygens only. So this means we would say that this compound B, if I talk of acidity, acidity of B compound is greater than that of C compound. Let us check what the option was. So B compound is more acidic, so this makes it is correct. Next is the constitutional isomers of A is 6. I am going to discuss C part in a while, because I could see the point number D is somewhat which we have just talked about. So this anion is removed. Just see, this is what the fellow is asking. So if you remove H1, if you loss of H1 positive, and this would give you this anion. So this we have already discussed, so let me first discuss the, so this is a conjugate base, this also is a conjugate base of this same acid. Now the matter of the fact is, here you have to check which out of this is more stable. Of course, if I say this is more stable because of the conjugation involved with the negative charge, here you don't see any conjugation. So if I say in terms of stability, so stability of uh, stability of this would be more. this is more stable. If it is more stable, so I would say this is, I would say simply, uh, let me write it once again. This is, we say it as to be this as more stable, and this is less stable because the negative charge is not being disposed anywhere. And if it is less stable, it would be more energetic, and it would be more basic. So I would say this anion would be more basic than this in vis-a-vis in comparison. So this means that your D option is also seems to be correct. So I'm through the question. So now you could see that because this checking of constitutional isomers of A, I'm saying I'm going to do it, but in paper you have to save time. If you are if you are 100% sure that A, B, and D are right statement, there is no point of uh, checking the constitutional isomers of A, trusting the examiner that one of these is incorrect. So C would be the answer. But having said, let us discuss this one also. So what is compound A? This compound is C4H6 butadiene. So how to handle this if in case it comes in the paper individually as a question, C4H6. So for this C4H6, first I would want to do its, would like to find its degree of unsaturation. So degree of unsaturation for this is 2. There are n number of ways to find degree of unsaturation. Simply you can place it this formula if you want to do it in a speedy way, where n is the number of carbon atoms. There are many ways, especially I will make some video for this also, number of hydrogen atoms. There are 2 3 other ways to do it. So here the degree of unsaturation is 2 into 4 plus 2 minus 6 upon 2. So this would assist me understanding this question very speedily. So what degree of unsaturation means 2 here, that it would have 2 pi bonds. This molecule may have 2 pi bonds, or it would have 1 pi bond and 1 ring, or it may have 2 rings. So now the things would become little easier for me. So how could I go? 2 pi bonds means it would either would have 2 C double bond C or 1 triple bond 1. So 1 triple bond is containing 2 pi bonds, and 2 double bonds would contain 1 pi bond. So let me do it speedily. 4 carbons are there. So either this would be the case or this would be the case. So these are 2 dienes, and now let me make it triple bond, 4 carbons. So the triple bond could be like this or this. So 2 are these. Now you can make 1 pi bond, 1 ring. So smallest of all rings are 3 membered. I would always start with 3 membered. So if I make these 3 membered rings randomly, and one more carbon has to be placed, one more. Now the degree of unsaturation till now is 1. I want it to be 2. So I can place one double bond here, one here, one here, and if I make it here, so these two become same. So I'm not taking into account this one because it got repeated. So 3 are these, and still I have one more to go for, is this one. This is 4 membered, degree of unsaturation is 1. Now one double bond placing, so this also is being done. So till now how many I got? 2 2 4 5 6 7 8. 8 already I have received, so that statement in itself is a wrong. And 2 rings, so this is 1 ring, and if I place it here, it makes 2 rings. So obviously this particular compound would have n 9 structural isomers. So many times student ask me that is there any shortcut to find the structural isomer or constitutional isomers in a speedy way? No, you have to do it, and only degree of unsaturation could help you in understanding the problem, or to finding out the solution of number of counting of number of structural isomers in a speedy way. Now this finishes with the question, and if I happen, so in a way this in this problem the examiner has checked whether you know aromaticity or anti-aromaticity, whether you know the concept of acidity and stability of conjugate base and the basic character, And also along with it, he checked the constitutional isomers of isomerism got also engaged with it. And uh, he hasn't asked anything on to the on in regard to the reaction itself. So if I would like to discuss that one also, let me do it in hardly in 1 minute, that what exactly is this reaction happening. uh, we generally don't find this particular function group in your organic chemistry. Heterocyclic organic compounds are not much discussed in your 11th and 12th curriculum. So what is this? Butadiene is there, and this is sulfur dioxide, and sulfur dioxide is having one lone pair. And if you draw this structure, it is according to valence bond theory. And if you go for Lewis dot theory, where octet has to be completed, is this one. So both structures are correct in a way. So what probably would happen is when you heat it at 100 degree, so this sort of this lone pair goes here, this pi bond goes here, and there is a transition concerted reaction is happening. Concerted is the one where bond breaking and making is occurring simultaneously. So this is a beautiful Diels-Alder type of a reaction where you could have this sort of a bond formation happening where you are breaking some pi bonds and generating some sigma bonds. So this sigma, this pi got broken, another pi bond got broken into sigma. So here you get a pi bond. And on reduction, you simply have done the catalytic reduction. So this double bond got saturated. So this, I think, would be the viewpoint, and it is not so tough. So having said this, I think it is done with the question, and hope you liked it, and would meet you with one more problem based on chemistry to boost your rank with a daily chemistry dose rank booster series next time with the next problem. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day.